Hi, welcome to this session on team coaching. So this is more of an informational session rather than sort of how to team coach, which there's a whole nother program for this. But really just getting clear about what team coaching actually is and what it isn't. Team coaching is a fairly new concept. The ICF is really now just starting to embrace team coaching. They this year came up with 2021. They came up with some competencies related to team coaching. So if you think about certification and the ACC, program that you've been going through, LPCC, that's sort of like 25 something years old. And I would say team coaching really is pretty new. So you've got different coaching schools out there doing different styles of team coaching. In a sort of unregulated kind of way, in the same way that, again, the LPCC was 25 years ago. So, we have our own program, we have our own definition of team coaching. And in this session, you're going to basically hear Ashley and Ashley Abbott, who's one of our faculty, who's heading up our team coaching initiative, talking through like how we're defining team coaching, what it is, what it isn't, the value of team coaching, the benefits to teams, and why it might be useful for you as a leader to embrace that, either as a formal team coach or to be team coach like in your interactions. I can quickly just share with you one of the slides just to kind of give you a bit of background. If you think about when you're working with teams, you could have facilitation, team training, team building, team assessments, consulting, supervising teams, managing teams, leading teams. So like, where does team coaching fit into all of this? So on this slide here, we're just sort of talking a little bit about like, here's some areas of responsibility for in teams, right? So things like doing a team assessment, co-creating the relationship, defining the purpose. Level 4, I'll mention in a few minutes, but training the team, selecting the team, setting the agenda, who has the topic expertise, who's responsible for like solving the problem, giving advice, providing structure, making the decisions, accountability. So here's just some of the main elements. And then across the top here, you'll see, these different roles. So the team coach, the team leader, the team member, the facilitator, the consultant. So for the team coach, you may well be doing some sort of team assessment up front. The co-creating the relationship, absolutely. So helping them co-create their relationship. It's a very formal, structured session that the team coach would be responsible for leading. Helping the team define its purpose. Why does this team exist? Absolutely part of team coaching. Level 4, again, I'll come to it in a minute. Team training. So the responsibility of the team coach is, first of all, to listen for where there might be challenges, deficits, blind spots in the team, and then to provide them with in the moment, sort of like on-demand training. So using the skills that you've learned and some other ones that you learned from LPCC. So training the team to be more effective at listening, training the team to be able to ask open-ended, powerful questions. And just think about those list of skills that you've learned, the 22 coaching skills. Most of those will be relevant here as well. Team coach isn't responsible for the selection of the team. That's really more the team leader. Setting the agenda, that's going to be the team leader. It could be the team members. It just depends on the structure of that team. And topic expertise. So similar to LPCC, the team coach doesn't, again, in the formal definition of team coaching that we're using, the team coach doesn't have expertise. They're not giving advice or problem solving. Providing a structure. So they'll be providing some structure, but again, and not in the same way that a facilitator would. They don't make, the team coach won't be making the decisions at the end. It's up to helping the team to facilitate the decision-making process for the team so that there's clear governance and accountability in place. And obviously the accountability and action is up to the team as well. So hopefully that just gives you a little insight into team coaching in terms of what the roles are. And then just quickly, we'll just mention the level 4. So you know what levels 1, 2, and 3 are. Level 4 is listening to, it's almost like thinking of the team as a collective or as a system. So rather than getting involved in specifics and getting involved with individual team members, you're more looking holistically at like, what are the patterns, the dynamics that you're noticing in this team? And really you're speaking more to the dynamics and the energy of the group as you are to the individuals. So the emergent team energy, or the voice of the system. That's really, as a team coach, what we're training you to be listening for. And that's a challenge because, you know, you get sucked in, right? You get sucked into specific issues within the team. So there you see the team coach, you know, really listening in on the level 4. So very brief introduction. You know, there's no way in the world in this short session that we can really give you any training around team coaching, but as you'll see now with Erin and Ashley, they're going to discuss more around getting clear about definitions and working with teams and all of that. So I hope you find this useful, and good luck.
I think that you know, what we're looking to offer people is to be able to walk into a team situation when they want to sort of help them succeed or help them get to a point when they're going to feel more successful. So this is less about being a member of the team, and more about being called in to be, just like you would be in a one-on-one coach, sort of the unbiased but caring practitioner that helps the team find what's important to them, helps enable the team and empower them, rather than going in with a consulting or fix-it mindset, right? And in this case, it's the team itself that is the focus.
And we're seeing the need for team coaching increase, mostly because as our world becomes more complex, so does organizations, and so do teams. And so particularly now, you know, for example, with COVID, people navigating through that challenge of being in a virtual environment, now going back to are we doing in person? Are we doing virtual? Also the demand for results, you know, teams are now becoming even more responsible and accountable to creating results. As well as just, you know, there's ongoing changes in teams that happen all the time. People are coming in, people are coming out, transitioning. So just change in general. And so we're seeing the need, really, the need for, I feel like today is like, right now, where we are is like the time for team coach, the rise of team coaching.
Group coaching is more about a group format, and all the individuals in that group walk away with some benefit. But team coaching is more about the team itself, that all those people are a member of, is the focus of the coaching. And that's what has focus.
Actually, can we just maybe walk through a couple like day in the lives of a team coach? Like what, you know, just can we give a couple examples before we segue?
Sure. Take you through a similar kind of experience. So you might get called as a team coach by the leader or a member of a team that says, hey, you know, our team's about to go through a big change. We're a distributed team. We've been virtual for a while. And now that, you know, COVID is abating a bit, we've been asked to return to the office. And there's a wide range of opinions and comfort levels on how to do that, when to do that, and a range of circumstances. So a team coach might be called in to help sort of ascertain how the team can look at itself and reflect itself and get clarity on how it wants to do that.
And so we really make some really clear distinctions about the distinction between a team coach, a facilitator, a leader of a team. We also distinguish between, and so for example, so if you are working with that team that's navigating change, you're going to spend a lot of time as a team coach getting to know them and creating a safe environment. with the objective of helping that team to reach a common goal. So work towards a common goal. And so in our LPCC program, we use the terms reactive and creative. So we're looking at how do we help the team become aware of when they're in a reactive state that's less productive, less effective, when they're less aware of the impact that they're having on each other, and help them increase their level of awareness as a team into more of a creative space where they can take responsibility collectively and really be in good relationship with each other.
That might mean adopting some of the skills in terms of the way people speak to each other and where they direct their awareness, which is familiar to all coaches, so that they can be self-sufficient in that. All right. We're not looking to develop a dependency on the team coach.
So day in the life of a team coach is like, you may have, you may do a team coaching engagement that's 3 hours or whatever that might look like, but you're coming in to help the team work towards that common goal or help them work through the challenge. And in our approach, you're also giving them some skills, some training at the same time, so they can be able to speak a common language. So without that common language, without that training of teaching them some of the coaching skills that we feel that are important for teams to have, we find that teams will revert back. Yeah. So we really, as Ashley said, our intention is to train you all so that you can go in with teams. So they end up taking on the responsibility for maintaining that level of effectiveness going forward.
So there's some sense of assessment. What does this team need, right? Not every team has a problem. You may have a team that says, this is a new team in a new organization. We need to figure out, what does it mean to be on this team? Where is it headed? What's going to be important? How will we interact with each other? How will we know when this team is succeeding? All right. And so to take a look structurally at, how does a team get set up? How do you set it up for success? And then what kind of interventions are appropriate along the way? And finally, how do you end it, right? How do you end a team coaching engagement? Because they're not supposed to go on forever. Or at least, how do you end a cycle and begin a new one?
So with that, over the last several months, I've actually been coaching a team within my organization. And to give you some context, before I started coaching, the team had several new members that joined the team, and very technical practitioners. And so everybody, expert at their job. And we had all these new members joining, and in the remote environment, we wanted to make sure that those people felt like they were part of the team. And I think, coming on board to a new place is tough in a remote environment. And so anyway, so during the coaching, we worked on, I would say, 3 things that stick out. So we designed as a team and built on one being behavioral alignment. And so, with everyone being a, technical expert, it was interesting to see this team, come together and work as a team, or understand each other and work together and make sure that, behavioral wise, they were all on the same page. And so one of the things we did was the group designed 10 agreements that they all agreed to. Like, for example, one was, we're all going to hold each other with positive intent. So day to day, when it comes to interactions with each other, we're holding each other in with positive intent. So that's just a little example of something that we worked on. And it was fun to see all of the group members agree on these agreements, because we printed it out, and it's now a visual that they all look at day to day to make sure that they're honoring those agreements. So second, I would say they really learned to trust each other. And that was one of their agreements that they came up with. But I think that was huge for the people that were new, I can trust these team members. Like, I'm starting to get to know them, and that sort of thing. And then last, I would say active listening. So I did actually teach them the skill of active listening, and we practiced it a lot. And it was really fun to see also how they went from not really having a great understanding of what active listening is to actually practicing it in small groups and being like, oh, this is hard. But when I am actively listening, it makes such a big impact on that relationship. And you know, when you're listening to someone and they can feel that you're really paying attention, you really listen. I think that helps a team. So those are the three things that that I would say that we worked on. And what's fun now is I feel like we're at the team's at a good place that we can now explore other facets of team engagement. So we're doing 16 personalities, or we did that last month, and then this month we're going to work on the ladder of inference. And I'm actually going to introduce 2 more team skills to them next month. So yeah, that's in a nutshell. Any questions?
Cassandra, I know that we talked about this before, but I'd love for you to talk about like what piques your interest in the team piece versus the individual piece.
Okay, yes. I would say with the teams, I think it's fun to see I think the impact that you can make going from, you know, just starting out with a team and during the period of time, whether it's a month or 4 months, whatever it is, you know, as you progress, seeing how they all work differently together. And I feel like you notice that the difference and the change that you're making. And that's actually what I love about it so far, is that you can actually see each time you meet with a team how it's impacting them and how they're improving and working together and just working, you know, better together.
So I think team coaching has moved on from just remedial, right? Like getting the call for like, my team is like really struggling, I need help, sort of like individual coaching, where coaching is not just about remedial, right? It's about how do you help the team really thrive? How do you help them sustain performance? How do you help them sustain effectiveness? And so we get called into typically that we want a leader calls and says, I want my team to really be able to connect with each other. I want them to be on the same page. I want to create more alignment. Or we are having these challenges that we need help. There's someone as a team coach to come in and help us see our blind spots that we're not seeing. It could be that the team, like Cassandra mentioned, is in transition. There's people coming in and out. So to be able to create a common foundation or structure that you can build upon as a team. It could be a product development team. They're looking to develop. We worked with one team that were developing a new product. It was a very high performing organization. There was a lot of competition. And so being able to support that level of performance was necessary. Ashley, do you want to speak to some?
I could, yeah. We just had a request to see if you could get a bit louder or closer to the mic, Erin.
Oh, sure.
I'll build on what Erin said, is that traditionally, you know, there's sometimes teams run into trouble, and the savvy team leader knows that it's never just about one problematic person. that's really more symptomatic that there's something bigger going on. And so let's address that. More and more, though, it's when teams are being formed, co-founders, actually startup co-founders is one aspect where people realize that it's not just what needs to get done, but how it gets done and how that changes over the roller coaster ride of startup. People are paying attention to, you know, what helps small organizations succeed and grow. And the other portion is just in general, when a new team is forming, even in a new organization, because the literature is showing that that most of the team's success can point back at how well it was set up in the first place. And the good news is you can always hit a reset button. Right. And it's so there's that we'll explore that, especially in module 2, about, well, you know, what are the preconditions that you need to be aware of if you want to give a team the best chances of success. So team instantiation is increasingly becoming why we're called.
The team coaches that we have trained, and what we believe around team coaches, is that not everyone engagement is the same. And so when we train people, we are training them to be agile. We're training them to meet the team where they are and to be able to have the capacity and ability to create from what the team needs. So that's very important for you to know about our approach. It's not just like, here is the magic formula, try this. So we are giving you a structure, but yet we are also working on building your capacity to meet whatever it is that that arises from the team, and to be able to help them navigate through that. So strengthening your own capacity to do so.
And that takes some presence, right? It's both, there's an element of structure so that you're held in some sort of model and structure, and you know sort of, what to engage with the team on, and flexibility and presence in terms of, well, you have to deal with what shows up on the day, sometimes in the moment, right? And so to be able to work with both, both structure and the liberty you need to dance with whatever shows up.
Do you set up, what's like the first, how do you set up a team coaching engagement? What do you need to know? So there's a lot of design that comes in the beginning, with the team that you're working with. And then what's the kind of the meat and potatoes, what actually happens during a team coaching engagement or session, so you working with that team? And then at the end, how do you evaluate success? How do you know that the team has been successful in wanting and getting the results that they were looking for? How do you help the team sustain their learning and sustain their growth? Okay, so we're sort of looking at the arc of beginning, middle, and end as you're executing team coaching.
This has been based on recent and longstanding literature and research on teams. So it's not something we made up. It conforms to the very recently new published team coaching competencies from the International Coaching Federation, and work based on Richard Hackman, Harvard University, and as Erin mentioned, the notion of reactive to creative is all part of the model that we present to you.
So that's where the developmental psychology piece comes in, around looking to help teams, again, be aware of when they're in that reactive state, so they know how to take responsibility and shift. That is really critical and crucial for teams to learn. It's a skill that every team needs to know in order to learn how to take responsibility for the way they collaborate, the way that they connect, and also the results that they get or they don't get. So we're very much trying to find a method for the team to learn how to take responsibility, and again, be able to sustain that.
We look at the team as an entity itself, rather than just a collection of individuals that happen to report to the same person.
So what
may not.
Yeah, and what Ashley's saying is really important. I think this addresses someone's question, is that in team coaching, you're not coaching the individuals on the team, and you're not paying attention to just one person. Sometimes you may need to, but we use a skill called level 4. So if you're in the program, we'll introduce you to that, and it's actually coaching the collective. You're going to learn how to coach and speak to what is happening in the collective, in the team, versus speaking to what's happening to each individual, and how that impacts the team as a whole.
I like to think of it as the climate and the weather, right? The climate is generally how the team functions, and the weather is what shows up, in a conversation. And we like to pay attention to both. And weather is made up of more than just a drop of rain. It's all of it together.
Right? We have team coaching mindsets. What's the mindset you need to be in as a team coach? What are some of the skills that you need to know and also introduce to a team? For example, active listening, being able to introduce paraphrasing to the team, introducing how to jump in when that's needed, introducing silence with the team. We also are going through concepts around purpose. So as Ashley mentioned, like, why is this team together? Do they need to actually be together? Looking at values. What are the team's values? Are they honoring those values, or are they actually stepping all over them? We're also looking at the reactive to creative level. So where are they around, how aware are they around the impact that around of their own team, the collective, the impact that the team is actually having? around, so how you know how to train the team, and then also have skills and concepts so you can coach with the team coach with the team.
Because that's the build on you being a one-on-one coach already. We actually start with the meat and potatoes, as Erin says. And, you know, when you're in an intervention, what are the skills you need? What are some of the skills they need? Right. So that's what module 1 is about. We call it from one to many. Right. We talk about coaching mindsets when you're coaching a team. Right. Most coaching programs have mindsets that you think about when you're coaching an individual. Establishing some purpose and vision, right, for the team. Co-creating the relationship with the team and also with the team coach. And being aware, as Erin said, of the level 4, sort of the nature or the climate of the team. And skills to work with it. Right. As Erin said, you know, are they reactive? Are they creative? How can you accompany them on that journey? And a sense of what's important to this team. Right. Our team coaching specific skills, for example, sensing enough of what's going on to know when the team coach might need to step away rather than just always jump in, or how to rebalance the voices in the room, and with an awareness perhaps of equity and inclusion in mind, especially for remote attendees.